Now, joining me now is Mark Weiss, the Director of International Operations at Reagan Aerotech. Mark, welcome to our show. From the available information, what can we know or infer about the causes of this tragedy?
Well, you know, in any accident, this stage, it's really all and strictly speculation. There have similarities with this accident and the Lion Air crash that happened a number of months ago. Both aircraft were very new. I mean, this one was only brought to the airline the middle of November. It was in the air for 6 minutes. The pilot did have enough time to make an emergency distress call. So that somewhat leaves out, you know, the possibility of some type of catastrophic explosion on board the aircraft that would have brought it down immediately. He had enough time to declare the emergency and start coming back to the airport. The fluctuations on the vertical speed on that aircraft, very similar to what we believe happened with the Lion Air crash. And so there's going to be, obviously, people coming from the National Transportation Safety Board, from all different agencies throughout the world coming there, the engine manufacturers, the airframe manufacturers, systems manufacturers. They're going to be checking on the pilot's records, on the training records that they have, the aircraft. Did they have any write-ups in the logbook that they had similar type problems of this before? They're going to obviously try to match any similarities with this accident. Particularly, it's on a very new Boeing type aircraft with the one that happened in Indonesia, to see if it mimics and mirrors any of those problems that they had.
To some of those our viewers who are not familiar with Mark, or I should say Captain Weiss, you've been with American Airlines as a pilot. You flew 727, Boeing 727, Boeing 737, and Boeing 777.
Yes.
All of those. And many of the folks online said there seems to be a pattern. The Indonesian airline flight you just mentioned, and now, just 5 months later, this Ethiopian Airline, all with Boeing 737 Max-8.
Well, this really is, the Max-8 is a relatively new aircraft. Boeing has been making the 737 since, I think, the late 60s. I mean, there are thousands, literally tens of thousands of these aircraft flying around. It's probably the most popular aircraft on the face of the earth. So the platform is one that has been around a long time. It's a stable platform. It was a wonderful airplane to fly. The new iterations come with different upgrades, just like when you get a new car. There are new safety features in it. There was a safety feature built into this aircraft that helps automatically prevent the aircraft from what they call stalling. And stalling in this particular situation is when the aircraft the nose of the airplane would increase the angle and come up so high that there would be not enough lift over the wings to sustain that lift. So the airplane would come down. So Boeing built into this aircraft, and I'm not saying that this was the problem, but they did build into this aircraft a safety feature that tried to compensate for that. Now, if the pilots hadn't been trained or if there were a problem with that system, the pilots may have thought that the airplane was having a very erratic climb rate and trying to overcome that. That's certainly one of the possibilities that we saw from the Lion Air accident. So once you get the black boxes, which are actually colored orange, but the black boxes from the cockpit voice recorder, which will tell you, it picks up all the sound in the cockpit, and it will tell you what the pilots were talking about. What were the sounds? What were the emergency bells? Because different instruments have different sounds and warning systems and warning horns that will go off. So the investigators will listen to hear what that sounds were, what the pilots were talking about, what actions were taken at that time. You coordinate that with the flight data recorder, and you see, did the actions that the pilots spoke of, were they taken and physically done on the airplane, because that would be registered on the flight data recorder. And then what happened with that flight data recorder? I mean, did the aircraft go into a dive? Was it still climbing? What were the throttles? The parameters are enormous on that. You'll get a lot of information.
Captain Weiss, you just mentioned that Boeing 737 Max-8 is among the most popular models of flights all over the world, tens of thousands of such flights out there. What should Boeing do at this moment? Some are saying that Boeing should perhaps think about recalling this model.
Well, the 737 Max-8 is the newer version of the 737. The 737 started, like I said, back in the 60s. So these are new iterations of that aircraft. Look, Boeing has a great reputation, but its reputation is on the line with this type of accident and this incident, as was with the Lion Air. They're being aggressive, I'm certain, to make sure that they keep their name and their product in a very positive light. So they're going to be very aggressive when it comes to keeping abreast of this investigation. And if there are training scenarios that have to be upgraded, if there are upgrades to the software or the hardware on board the equipment to try to prevent this from happening again, if in fact this was one of the causes, then that's what they'll be looking to do. But you have to remember one thing in a plane crash. Generally speaking, an accident is not caused by some single event. It's a chain of events that lead up to that crash. So was there a problem with that system? Were the pilots trained properly? Did they know how to recognize it? If that was the problem, they're going to be looking at all those parameters, because when the National Transportation Safety Board, after their investigation completes, what they come up with is what they call a probable cause. And they're going to say that the probable cause of this accident was this, 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 and this, and they are going to list the requirements that they feel necessary to help prevent this from happening again.
Captain Mark Weiss, the Director of International Operations at Reagan Aerotech, thank you so much for your expertise and insight.